Hello friends. Now that we know what kind of game we're making, it's time to start designing it. A common problem with this stage of development is designing a game that is far too large to ever be completed. Feature creep. To keep the project focused on its goals, it's a good idea to start by defining design pillars for your game. Design pillars are the core concepts of your game, defined by a single statement which is concise and focused. They can cover any aspect of the design, from the experience you are providing for the player, their emotions, objectives, or the visual style. Try to define at least 3 to 5 pillars for your game before you start any conceptualization. You will be able to use these to keep the project focused and cohesive by filtering out any ideas which do not support or actively contradict the game's design pillars. My game's design pillars will be 1. Always progressing. Roguelites are defined by failure, but I never want the player to feel like a failed run was a waste of time, so they should always get something out of it, like currency or plot progression. 2. Order versus chaos. Roguelites have a lot of randomness and chaos in them, and I want to give the player tools that will allow them to control the randomness or reward them for leaning into the chaos. 3. Something old and something new. I want my game to have lots of nostalgia, while also providing new and unique twists on existing tropes. 4. Respect the player's time. I won't add any features to the game which only extend the playtime, and try to provide meaningful experiences to the player. I will use these design pillars to both drive my ideas and filter out unnecessary features throughout the entire process. Once we have our design pillars decided, our next step is to design our game's foundation, or its core mechanic. The core mechanic of the game is the thing the player will be doing the most often, and is usually defined by the game's genre. For most platforming games, the core mechanic would be jumping. For my game, the core mechanic is walking while allowing the auto attack to defeat enemies. If possible, try to connect your core mechanic to your design pillars in some way. This may provide an opportunity to innovate. For example, instead of having the auto attack on a consistent timer, I might randomize it slightly, but give the player an ability to make it consistent but weaker, or more randomized and stronger. Or if the auto-attacking mechanic is something old, I might add something new, such as a Final Fantasy style limit break gauge, which is manually activated by the player once filled. If the core mechanic of your game is something familiar, it will also act as an anchor for the player to help them understand the game intuitively. Otherwise, you'll need to do some extra design work to provide an anchor for your player to hold on to while they learn how your game works. If you try to invent a totally unique new genre of game, you can't expect players to be willing to put in the time and effort to learn how to play your game from a blank slate. It's best to start with well-established game mechanics first. On top of an anchor that makes the game feel familiar to the player, your game also needs a hook to keep them interested in continuing to play it. Your game's hook needs to be something unique, making it stand out against the competition, and will be the main selling point. There are 3 different types of hooks, and ideally you should try to use all 3 of them if you can. First, a mechanical hook. A game mechanic that lets the player do something that they can't do in other games in the same genre. This might be an innovation on your game's core mechanic, or combining multiple genres together in a unique way that's never been done before. 2. A narrative hook. A unique story which piques the player's interest, or a plot twist that subverts the genre expectations. This must be public information, something you would put on the game's store page description, not a spoiler that the player needs to buy the game to see. 3. A visual hook. An art style which makes your game visually appealing in a way that really stands out against other games in the same genre. This requires a lot of skill and art direction to manage throughout the entire design of a game. Like with everything, try to tie your game's hook or hooks into your design pillars. I dislike how all of the characters in survival-like games are all very similar, so as a mechanical hook, I will give each character a unique gimmick to make them feel different to play, setting my game apart from other survival-like games. For a narrative hook, I will have my game's narrative themed around time, bringing together unique characters from different time periods in a story that has them traveling through time. I don't really have the artistic ability to have a strong visual hook, but I will try my best to produce a unique visual presentation using 2D pixel art for my game and rely on the unique characters and time periods to provide interesting visual contrast. Once you've got your pillars and foundation worked out, it's time to cap it all off with a title and an elevator pitch. You don't have to keep the title you choose now, it's just a working title, but will guide the focus of the project. I'll name my game Time Crash Survival for now. Your elevator pitch should be able to describe your game in a single sentence. Explain what the player will be doing as well as what makes your game unique. This will be the description of your game on the store page that gets the player to buy your game. For my game, I'll say, survive against hordes of enemies from across time wielding the powers of heroes from different eras. Your game idea should now be a fully developed concept. Like before, you may want to repeat this process multiple times with different game ideas before moving on. In the next video, we'll start planning to build a prototype. I'll see you in the next video.